Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Silverlake Priestess Podcast. I'm Jaime Black, and I am your hostess for the show. You can find me at jaimeblack.com. You can find all of my offerings. You can find all of the podcasts there. You can find my music. You can sign up for my newsletter, and you'll get a free song, and all of that information is at jaimeblack.com. So Silverlake Priestess is the name of my business and School of Priestess Arts, where I do all sorts of women's circles and rituals and moon circles and priestess retreats and priestess pilgrimages. And so we bring this podcast to you where I interview different magical women from my journeys around the world and online. And so I'm really excited today to be here with Priestess Darcie. Welcome, Darcie.
Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. So recently I went to the Goddess Conference in Glastonbury, and I did some performing there, and I led a ritual, and that's actually how I met Darcie. We met in the Goddess Hall, and so we'll start with sharing like how we met, because it was just a total accident that we met. I myself in my own journey to get there, there was a way that I had planned that all of this stuff was going to be, and that it was going to work out, and Goddess was like, that is not the way that it's going to go. And I really had to at some point even struggle with like still following through with all of this, and just something in my heart was like, you're going, this is your favorite place in the whole world. It's already like taken care of. Just go, and then trust that whatever's supposed to happen is going to happen. And Darcie was a big part of what happened for me, because I trusted and I just went anyway. And so excited to meet you again in this life, sister.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So Darcie, so we're calling this episode Priestess in Avalon, because Darcie is my very own priestess in Avalon. She just moved there, so she's actually sitting in the magical land, and so all of the magical Avalon energy is beaming out to us from you, Darcie. So tell us what you do. I'd love to hear about your priestess path, and how was it that you found yourself in the room where I was and we met.
Yeah, so I have been doing all sorts of things on my spiritual journey for the last few years now. So it all started back with Reiki. That's the first thing that I fell in love with and that I have journeyed with. Then that kind of grew and grew, and then I came to Glastonbury with my mum on a little trip one day, and we ended up stumbling across the Goddess Temple, and I was in there and I just knew, like, straight away, that's what I was going to be a priestess. That was it. And I think I was 16 at the time, so I was a little baby. So yeah, it's been a really interesting journey since then. I'm kind of in the process of finishing up now almost. I'm very near the end of doing my Priestess of Brigit training here in Avalon in Glastonbury, which is amazing. And I thoroughly have enjoyed that. I also do treatments, so Reiki, I do oracle card reading, all sorts of things like that, and that's going to be expanding into elemental goddess healing soon, and all sorts of things like that. So yeah, that's kind of me. And then we met. It was a very bizarre thing. So I knew that Jaime's concert was happening because I have been working as a personal assistant for the organizers of the Goddess Conference. So I was helping with the program and the timetabling and all of those kind of things. So that's kind of how I knew it was happening. And I also am in the process of having a degree in theatre production and arts and stage management. So I had quite a good knowledge of like technical stuff. And all of a sudden I got a text about a couple of hours before her show going, "We need someone who knows how to use tech things, please come here." And I was like, okay. And I wasn't meant to be there. I was supposed to be busy doing something else, and that didn't happen. So it ended up being that I just went there, and that's how we met. And it was completely magical and weird and just such like a coincidence moment, but equally it was just really powerful, and I think it was definitely a meant to be thing. And then we spent most of that week together up the tour or in various different places in Glastonbury, just getting to know each other and really reconnecting in this lifetime.
And I'll just share that, that the part of not having the equipment that I needed to have to perform and all of that was like a very stressful part of my experience. Even when I had first heard that there wasn't going to be a sound system in there, I was like, is this a sign that I'm not supposed to be there and that I'm not supposed to be playing? Because there had been so many parts of the journey that have been so difficult for me, including all of the sisters that were supposed to perform with me dropping out at various times along the way, and me just really being in a state of just really getting hit with like one disappointment after the next. And that's, what I was saying, I was just like, I'm just going anyway. And so one of the other sisters, so this is what was great, is that, I was told to go show up at the goddess hall, and there were all these like priestesses and a couple of the priests that were like there. They just all kind of came up to me and they're like, we're here to serve you. And it was amazing. And when I had been talking to Sophie, maybe we were just doing email, but she had asked me, would you like a tech person there to help you set up this equipment that you're bringing in? And I was just gonna be like, no, absolutely not. Like, it's not that big of a deal. The guy whose equipment it is just gonna be there. And something in me was like, no, say yes. And I was like, you know what? Everything has gone so wrong on the whole rest of this trip. I'm not gonna say no. So like, yes, please, will you have someone there? And then that's actually like what brought you in there. And anyways, magical priestess, mermaid with her blue hair, just kept coming up to me like, how can I serve you? I was like, this is the best. So Darcie is also a photographer. I wanted to share that. She did some photos of me while we were there, and like, I'm sure you can be doing magical photography for sisters that are coming there on pilgrimage now that you're there. So any of you, have you read The Mists of Avalon? Let us know. I just listened to it again on audio, on Audible. I was actually the first time listening on Audible, and it was really great because it just kind of like kept me in the space. But I've been to Glastonbury so many times on the journey to Avalon, so we'll talk a little bit about what it is. But for those of you who just maybe hear me talk about it and don't quite know, just very lightly, if you've ever heard of any of the folklore around like King Arthur and the Round Table and all of that, those stories are from that place. So the druids that were on the land, the priestesses that worshipped the goddess and lived on the land, they come from this area, or some of them like come from this area. And so there's many of us that have past life memories that get activated when we visit the land. And then, those of us that are in the know of all this, we talk about Avalon. But truly, Avalon is something that is like, it's a magical place that you can only access through either accidentally stepping through some portal that's there, or otherwise it's through like deep inner work and meditation and in getting there magically. So Glastonbury is the town. It's the town in England. It's, it was always like very much like this was the land of man, and then Avalon was the land of the fairies and the magical place and all of that. So Darcie has been going and doing priestess training in Avalon over all of these years. Will you just tell us like, what is that like?
Yeah, so for me, Avalon is a really magical place to be training because, and a lot of what I've been learning actually is the history of how Avalon came to be, how it actually became, was there, because these things don't just appear out of nowhere. And there's so many different folklore stories, but the ones that I like because they're goddessy and beautiful are the ones about Brigit, who is the priestess, the goddess that I'm a priestess of and that I'm training of at the moment. And she was basically, if you look at the land of Avalon, of Glastonbury, but also it's Avalon, the hills and the formations of it create the shape of a woman lying down. And the tour is actually one of her breasts. And I think that's really magical. So you can literally see that the goddess is like, in all the myth and all the folklore, has just kind of snuggled down and laid to rest and she's in the land. And that's really magical. There's also myths about the fact that it also looks like a swan with one wing outstretched. So it can actually create that shape as well. So the Swan Maiden, or Brigit's like bridey, like younger youth form, in her maiden form, is very much present here. And I think that's really magical. So yeah, I've been doing the Brigit Priestess training. This is my second year. I'm in that now. It's been very deep and very transformational for sure, really magical. Would highly recommend, and so much so to the point that I'm actually like the assistant on the next 2 years of it. So I'm helping out with the training, which will be so exciting, and I can't wait. And I'm hoping that, I'll just get to keep journeying with that energy. And then, I'm also doing another priestess training at the same time, which is very full on. But I've kind of started it more recently, so it's overlapping rather than feeling like it's too much all at once. And that is the Priestess of the Rose lineage and of Sophia Magdalene training. So it's working, again, Brigit is within the Rose lineage, which is very interesting, but it's working with all of that kind of the lineage of the Rose. So from Sophia, Magdalene, Eve, Mother Mary, all of the different ones, Archangel Michael. It kind of combines angels, goddesses, gods, you name it. It all comes together in this magical training that I would, again, highly recommend. And that's been really magical. And I think when you are training here, I keep looking that way. I have my I have a big window and a balcony there, so which I can see the tour from, which makes it even more magical.
Yes.
I keep looking at it to be like, I mean, it's dark now, but it's out there, and I know it's out there. But yeah, so it's a really magical place. And this morning I was sat in the corner watching at the tour as I was having my breakfast, and I literally watched the mist descend over the tour, and it became completely out of sight. So I really feel like the myths of Avalon and the mysteries that are in the land here and in the nature and in all of the energies that are just here and so present. I'm really feeling them, and I'm really enjoying living here.
And it's for everyone. You step on the land and you can feel the power of the magical energy that's there. So whether you're really called to like the folklore or know anything about it or have any history with it, it is there. You can't feel it. And then, there's some of us who really just become like obsessed with the land. We don't feel it that way anywhere else. So it's like such a gift that you get to be there and live there. And I know that those trainings that you're doing, one of the big parts of the training is actually being present on the land and walking around to specific pieces of land and sites and all of that and learning about them, but also just sitting on them. And so, with my own retreats, that's what it is that I've been like saying that we're going to be doing, is to just go and sit on the land, to just go and like sing on the land, sing on a cave, like go into the water, because you've done all of these things. Darcie and I are going to be leading a retreat. So we had this connection. And something else I was going to mention, in all the years, it's been a 9-year cycle for me. This was my 9th. It was the 9th year when I started coming to visit. And what I realized is that as many times as I've come, like I haven't done any visiting of any of the sacred sites or any of the places with women. There was a sister who took me to Avebury, and we did go on a walk on the tour once, but I had a lover there for a number of years. And so I was doing, he was taking me to all of these sacred places, which was totally magical, but I never had the experience of having a sister there with me. And we didn't even do it on purpose. It was just in our hanging out and spending time together. Darcie really stepped into being that sister for me. I mean, I read The Mists of Avalon when I was 19, and it's a really lovely story. And, so King Arthur. Morgan Le Fay is actually his sister. And so it's just kind of about, you know, it's a fictional story about the folklore, and it like spans over, you know, her whole growth cycle of when she goes to priestess training and just her own personal experience and how she becomes in touch with the people of the land, the ancient tribe people and the fairies and all of that. And she's the one that like I really connect to. And I think that those of us who read the Mists of Avalon, like that's the connection, like we're connecting to her. So those of us that feel like she's, you know, like she's the one, we really connect to that story. So anyway, but in the story, there's so much sisterhood. It's like sisters together that are doing moon circles and learning scrying and living together without men and walking the tour and being at the wellspring and all of that. And so anyway, I was there and I was with Darcie, and it was just like, you know, I just want to cry. I want to cry the whole time that I'm there anyway. But we did an amazing like reading over at the Chalice Gardens, and we went up to the tour together and we watched the sunset and we just sat up there and shared stories. And these are very magical places. And so everyone that's there, it's not just something that like only new people visit or only tourists visit. This is what everybody does. If you're there, you know, all of the videos that I was posting of me like walking up to the tour, it's not that tower that's on the top of the mountain, of the hill. It's the actual hill that you are walking on. And there's a natural labyrinth that is actually in it that I've never walked, that I know takes like 7 hours or something like that to actually do it. But even just being on that land and like walking up to the top, and the winds that are so intense there, and you're in the mists that are up there. So Darcie and I have created a journey to take you on in December. And just with my experience from having spent so much time there, with Darcie's experience of having spent so much time there, but also been really trained as a priestess on the land, we are going to take you to some magical places. Why don't you share a little bit about where we're going to go?
So yeah, so it's in October and I'm very excited. And yes. So some of the places we're going to go to are places like the Chalice Wellspring, which is a magical place, and the White Spring, which runs next to it. So it's a red and a white spring that run parallel to each other and are literally the other side of a road from each other. They are so close and they are completely different. They have such different energies and they're really magical. And the tradition of that is the red and the white. So the red is the feminine and the white is the masculine, and they run together and they kind of intertwine like further down their path, which is like the kind of inner soul marriage of the masculine and feminine kind of coming together, which is really magical. And I love that. And they're both magical places to be. And we've done a reading in the Chalice Gardens, which are beautiful, and a really great place to be as well. We're gonna go up the tour because you can't go to Glastonbury and not go up the tour.
Every day. Not every day.
So, we're gonna do that quite a lot probably. And now we're gonna try and do a trip out to Avebury and Stonehenge, which are a little bit further away, but they're both really magical places which have their temples, and that's all they like. They're these really magical temples that, okay, yes, they are recognized by some people as temples, but to me they're these just really ancient, really deep temples that you can really connect to the ancestry of. And everybody has different opinions on what things are and how they feel it, and this is just how I feel about it. But yeah, for me, I really like to sit. There's in Avebury, there's a magical tree where all of the roots are exposed, and to sit in those roots and really journey with your ancestors just feels so magical and grounding, and I really love it there. I'm trying to think where else we're going to go. We're going to go to the Goddess Temple, which is the first recognized Goddess Temple in the UK, which is very cool. Then we're going to go and we're going to do some things in the Gnostic Chapel, which is a Goddess Temple, and that's kind of the Rose lineage chapel. And yes, that's really exciting. Where else are we going? Is that it?
Well, we're gonna journey together. So a big part of this is like making our way to these different places on the land, and then sitting on the land and touching the land and feeling the energy that is in the land. So we're going to journey, we're going to do some dream work, we're going to do meditation. I'm going to have my drum, and that's another thing, is we are going to all have drums, and we're going to all have the experience. So you don't have to have any experience ever hitting a drum or ever singing ever before in your life, but we're going to just do it together. And the point is, you'll see when we do it, like what happens, like when you're actually participating with your own instrument in this way. So it's also a time for like connecting with your purpose, connecting with your ancestors, connecting with the land, making wishes, creating intentions. And we're going during the time of Samhain. We're going for the last week in October, and we are going to be doing all of this work up until the day of Samhain. So in the United States, this is where we celebrate Halloween, but it's really like an ancient tradition of, this is the end of a cycle. This is the end of the harvest season. This is when everything starts to get really dark, and everything is like past dead. Like all of the trees have fallen, all of the, the produce, like the pumpkins and the things that they've already grown to their fullness, and they've been like released from their plant, and then they're at the end of that cycle. So we also do a lot of taking stock of what we've been through, our personal growth through the year, and really let go. So we have we're going to do a lot of work on really getting in touch with where we're at in our own personal experience, but then also being able to really let go of, one, what no longer serves us on our path, two, of expectations of things that we wanted to have happen, but that didn't happen. So it's like a full release just of everything, so that we can like release and let go and then start over. So there's some seed planting at this time, but if you think about just, it's harder for us in Los Angeles because it's summer all the time and it's so hot, even right now. But if you're to think about how like the nature is in that land, especially, everything's going to go to sleep. There's going to be snow. And so in this process of like releasing everything, then we plant some seeds for what it is that we're wanting to create or wanting to call forth in our future. And we plant those seeds deep within the ground or deep within inside of us, and to know that they're going to be quiet and they're going to go to sleep, and they're just kind of going to gestate for a while. And then when the spring comes and when the sun comes back, that's when these things are going to start to like grow out of you. So it matters what you do at the end of a cycle. It matters what you do at the end of a season. And it's important always when we're planting seeds, that we be intentional about what we're planting, because we're planting anyway. Something's going to grow anyway. So planting seeds for our life and for our growth in Avalon, like what a magical thing to do. And so the thing that she didn't say about the white spring, and we're going to go inside of it. We're going to go in, it's ice cold, and we're going to strip all of our clothes off, and we're going to go inside. There's an opportunity for everyone to do that all the time, but it's really a release. And then you can use that opportunity for a dedication, but it's a full clearing, and you're in the earth, you're in the elements of the land there.
And it's a kind of caved place to be as well. So it's a really like, you enter into it and you're in this darkness with just candlelight, and I think it's going to be a really good like rebirthing ceremony. I think that's going to happen there. I think that's how it's going to feel. I think we're going to go in and shed what we don't need anymore, really release, and then kind of reclaim what we want to bring forward, and kind of let that have the time of the winter to let it settle, and then we can go again in the spring and let it all grow and flourish and blossom and be amazing.
Absolutely. That is going to be so amazing. So Darcie and I are offering a full moon circle on Friday for all of you. This is specifically for women, because this is what this trip is for, women or those that are called to the path of the goddess. So if that's you, you can come and be in our circle. And we're going to have a full moon ceremony. We're going to have a release ceremony. We'll be like this. And so all of you will be able to like see us, and we can all see each other, and we can share. And so you can ask us, you can get to know us. You can ask us again questions that you have about what's going to happen on the journey. And then we can get into all of that. But we will be doing also a very real full moon ceremony, and we'll talk about the astrology. You know, for those of you that are in Los Angeles, I'm having a ceremony tomorrow night in downtown Los Angeles at 22 Teachings, which is Naha school. So Naha we've had here on the podcast, and Naha has a school of Hermetic science and magical arts, and she teaches Kabbalah and tarot, and she does all kinds of cool stuff with crystal grids and everything. So she has this beautiful school in downtown Los Angeles. And I'm going to be playing with June, who so many of you see me play for the live rituals that we do online. So she's going to play with me. There's going to be ritual. There's going to be music. There's going to be a part where it is sound bath. So you're going to be able to like totally lay down and close your eyes. So that's for everyone who's in Los Angeles. But even if you are coming to that, you can come to this full moon circle at 1 p.m. Pacific time. So I think you're like 9 p.m. in the UK. It's a free circle. So I'm going to put a link in the comments below here in the video, so that all you will need to do is just click on that and then get all the information that you need. But yeah, so we hope that you all join us, and we'll share more about this magical journey, the Ancient Wisdom of Avalon tour and retreat that we're having at the end of December. Darcie, I'm so excited to come and see you and like be together again and walk the tour and sing and sit on the earth there. And I'm really so happy for being able to find you and connect with you. Share with us about how people can find you now and what kind of treatments and things that you offer for them. So I know that you do things that are in person as well. So if you're in the area, or if you're going to be making a pilgrimage to Avalon anytime, you can go and see Darcie. So tell us how we can find you, what you're doing.
So I have a Facebook page which is called Treatments with Darcie, and you can also just find me by my name, which is Darcie Kermode. I have a website also. I have 2 websites actually, so I have too many things all going on. You can find so many different ways. I kind of have 2 main strands of what I do. The first one is the treatments, which is so I offer Reiki, oracle card reading. I will be very soon, in literally like a couple of weeks, starting to offer elemental goddess healing, which is really amazing. I've had it as well as I'm learning it, and it's incredible. It's a really ceremonial, really deep healing and kind of shifting of stuff, and going through the 4 elements into like your aura, your emotional body, into your physical body, and like really just feeling and going through all of these things of what needs healing and what needs, and even if you don't feel at that time, if you want to come for a treatment with me, I don't think you have to heal something on the spot. It's completely up to you. And for me, with these kind of things, you can notice things. If you notice where something might need shifting, or you just notice, oh, I'm a bit tense there. I wonder why that is, or I think I know why, like I'm tense in my shoulders because I'm stressed about something, or things like that. That kind of stuff is quite comes up. And my oracle card readings I do with a lot of intuition and guidance, that I kind of just open up and see what comes through whilst I read. And it's a really magical thing to do for me, and also to receive, because I do them for myself as well. And Reiki is just really lovely to have. It's really calming, really great if you're stressed out and need just like a chill and a grounding before if you come here and you want Reiki, I can do it like a grounding and a kind of centering before you go off and do your pilgrimage here. And all my readings I do online. So I could do them on like Zoom, Skype, different types of things. And then my other kind of strand of things is called Discover Goddess, and I do workshops and retreats and things like that, where I teach about finding the goddess path. And it's kind of, at the moment, it's if you inquire, then I'll make things happen, because that's just how I'm running it, but it kind of depends how it all goes. So, and I'm planning to start running some kind of monthly women's circles in Glastonbury, which will be really cool, and I'm really excited. And hopefully some in the New Forest as well, which is where I'm from, which is kind of central South England, which is amazing and lovely and has a lot of magic there too, but in a very different way.
Wow, can you hike out to the middle of the forest and do a moon circle out there?
Yeah. So yeah, where I live, it's really kind of out in the middle of nowhere, and we have some like good land and lots of good trees. Got to have some good trees to connect to. So yeah, I want to be doing some stuff there and like just really feeling into the nature of the place. And yeah, here I'm going to be doing all sorts of things. So definitely like my Facebook page, because I will put everything on there. Whatever I'm doing, you'll see everything pop up there. That's definitely the easiest way to find me. And yeah, send me a message, email, whatever you like. I'm happy to receive anything. So
what is your email address? What is your website? We'll put those in the comments too, but just for anyone who's listening right now.
So my main website that I'm using I have two. One of them has a really long-winded URL, but the other one is just discovergoddess.com. So that's easy. And my email is darcie@discovergoddess.com. So those two, you can find me. It's easy. But yeah.
Awesome. And we, like I said, if you're watching the replay, let us know. And if you want to come to the circle, we would love to have all of you come. Even if you can't come to Avalon this time, there's so many people that are like, oh, I can't come. This happened this summer too. I can't come right now, but I want to come next year. We can get all of that like rolling for next year, but please jump on the call with us. Get to know us. We're going to be doing a few different events together over this year and next year, and if we love it, you know, it's something that we're going to continue doing. So please come on, invite any of your sisters. Like I said, those that are called to service of the goddess, like, you're also welcome. And so yeah, please message us, put your name down here in the comments. We're gonna send you, I'm gonna put a link in the comments too. We're gonna send you to the sign up page for the free moon circle on Friday. And with that, yes, thank you so much. And I'll see you soon. I'll see you on Friday. And I can't wait for all of the magic that we're going to get to do together in Avalon.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, so have a beautiful day. Blessed be, sister.
Blessed be.